Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars, come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad.
Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
The following program will contain coarse language and adult themes. Also, the opinions expressed on this particular program may in fact reflect those of KLRN Radio Management, because that's me. Sorry, one of my board features was acting up because I was doing some other stuff last night. But here we go.
Look, if you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it? Just let it slip.
Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Chat Lives Matter Day, right here live on KLRN Radio. I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Sorry I missed you yesterday, but I wasn't sure I was going to survive tax day. Although I guess it's a moot point, because even though I survived April 15th, 2025, I've been gone since net neutrality. Anybody else, feeling kind of, disembodied since net neutrality? Remember when they said that was going to kill all of us? Anyway, so we're here, we're live, and there's a plethora of things to talk about. My name's Rick Robinson. This is my show. Normally we do this thing every Tuesday through Friday between the hours of noon to 3 Eastern. Want to give a quick shout out to the Rooster, already hanging out in the chat. For everybody else who is starting to funnel in, please make sure you are liking the feed, sharing the feed, wherever you happen to find us at. Live, there are 5 feeds, no waiting. You can find us on my X feed. You can find us on the Network X feed. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, as well as Facebook. And like I said, wherever you happen to find us, doesn't cost you anything to give us a little bit of a boost so we can beat the dreaded Al Gore rhythms. That's right. I think that's the reason he tried to tell everybody he invented the internet, because according to him, those things were named after him, which would explain a few things, because they're pain in the asses just like he was. All right. So it is. Sorry. I mean, he's out of the spotlight now, but I'm sure he's probably as big of a pain in the ass now as he always was. Yeah, you are first. It's early for Amish. I don't know what he's got. I haven't even seen him on X today. You got to remember, he's a West Coaster. It's like 9-10 in the morning. They do everything in California time over there. It doesn't matter what part of the West Coast they're on. They're like, wait, you want me out of bed before 11? What are you, insane? Anyway, no, mostly kidding. Mostly, that is. All right, so let's take a quick spin around the news cycle. And so this is what is trending right now. So California is apparently suing the Trump administration over tariffs. We may get into that later during the show. Apparently, I missed this, and Is there footage? Please tell me there's footage. Please tell me there's footage. There is footage. Haha. So apparently somebody was tased at a Marjorie Taylor Greene event. We may actually see if we can get the footage pulled up to kind of laugh at that together. Maybe. I know I'm an evil son of a bitch for laughing at somebody being tased, but I have had to ride that lightning, so I feel no pain for any of these people. Because, when I got certified with a taser, you had to take the hit. Bastards. They've changed that now. Anyway, so we may get that pulled up in a minute. Let's see what other trouble we can get into first, though. You know what? Never mind. Let's just open with that. It's Wednesday. It's not quite Friday yet, but I do usually try to have a little bit more fun on a Chat Lives Matter day too. So you know what? Let's go ahead and get that pulled up so we can watch it together because I haven't seen this yet. So just a moment, and we will watch this together. And here we go.
No, I was trying to get you. He's a cop, so he's going to take them out too. I know.
Oh man, there's no footage of the actual tasing. Dude, I hang on. I don't do this very often, but I want to watch something. Okay, so this is where the cop starts messing up because he should have just leaned into him and taken him out at his front leg, and he would have just fallen, and he could have just picked him up and carried him out. Sorry.
No, I was trying to get you. He's a cop, so he's going to take them out too. I know.
But yeah, so I don't know what happened. Like I said, I was pretty much in no man's land yesterday because I was dealing with taxes. I will say being mostly retired now has changed my tax profile, and I'm not a huge fan of how that went, but I didn't owe, so there's that. All right. Fun times. Well, I'm pretty good at ruining people's days, Rooster. I may look to see if there is actually any. I assumed since, that was the point of the story that they would have had something about him being tased in the actual footage, but right now I'm just kind of scrolling down. Let's see. No, doesn't look like they have any of the footage of the actual tasing. There is a better angle of him being carried out, but sorry, I'm enjoying myself right now, which is not good for you guys because it means I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to do. Oh, poor Bushmaster Dave is getting piled on because he made a comment on one of my things and they misunderstood what he meant. I may have to come to his defense on a break in a minute. All right, so let's see what else we can get into here. So apparently a lot of things happened while I was out yesterday. And I'm just really starting to get up to speed. So this is from Town Hall from Jeff Charles. Apparently a top Hexeth advisor was escorted from the Pentagon. Let's find that out together. Because again, I have no idea what this is about. One of Defense Secretaries, just dude, seriously, just call it's shorter. Just say SecDef. Pete Hegseth's top advisor was escorted from the Pentagon on Tuesday after an investigation into leaks. A U.S. defense official told Reuters that Dan Caldwell was placed on administrative leave for an unauthorized disclosure. The report did not explain the nature of the aforementioned alleged disclosure. One of the defense secretary's, Pete Hegseth's leading advisors, Dan Caldwell, was escorted from the Pentagon on Tuesday after being identified during an investigation into leaks at the Department of Defense, a U.S. official told Reuters. Caldwell was placed on administrative leave for an unauthorized disclosure, the official said, speaking on condition of anonymity, of course. Can we look? That needs to stop. Just period. I expect that kind of crap when the Democrats are in charge because everybody's like, I can't really speak out against my masters or they're going to own me and blah, 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 blah. But look, we need the anonymity needs to stop. And this is coming from somebody who is watching the demise of the zombie media. And we have a Denny C sighting in the chat. But no, look, seriously, just stop with the anonymous sources thing. I miss when we used to follow the same rules, in the media, like if you are going to run with a story, you have to have at least one source willing to go on the record for every two sources that want to remain anonymous so that you have some sort of teeth that you can put behind this thing. I'm tired of that on all sides. But apparently, Caldwell and Hexeth have been friends for over a decade, according to the New York Slimes. Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Hexeth have a long relationship dating back more than a decade to their tenure at Concerned Veterans for America, a conservative group that pressed for reforms to the Department of Veterans Affairs. Mr. Caldwell, a Marine Corps veteran, served in Iraq but eventually doubted the wisdom of the war. I think the Iraq war was a monstrous crime, Mr. Caldwell told the Financial Times in December of 2024. Mr. Hegseth has expressed similar reservations about the war. I think at this point, pretty much all of us have. Now, at the time, based on the information that we had, I still thought it was one of the best moves that we could have made. But I do believe that, again, our country has this terrible habit of lying to us about a great many things. Now, unlike everyone else, I don't believe that there were, in fact, no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq because we've seen the satellite footage, which back then wasn't as easy to be doctored as it would be today, showing convoys fleeing the country before we ever made our shock and awe approach. Because we have to give everybody ample. We're going to bomb you if you, dude. This is why everybody still gets away with everything. Speaking of which, after tax day, I do highly recommend supermassiveblackholecoffee.com. And again, you have access to two separate codes. So if you decide to check it out, get your first bag first using either the code KAlarm Radio or Rowdy Rick. I think it's Rowdy Rick. And then if you like it, come back and use the other one with a different email and a different credit card. But I didn't tell you about that part. Shh, they might get mad if they realize I'm giving people access to multiple codes, but it's not my fault. But yeah, so and again, weird thing is still not really talking about what happened. So Mr. Caldwell's positions have been a source of debate within his own Republican Party, which remains divided between those who maintain that the U.S. military is overextended in the world and traditionalist Republicans who see American power as central to global stability. Both things can be true simultaneously, so I don't really know why we're arguing about this. All right. So apparently, what was happening is, and this is from AG Hamilton 29 on X. Story in three parts. Part one, concerns raised about Dan Caldwell pushing isolationist appointments at the Pentagon. Part two, Tucker, claims it's a smear campaign and Caldwell is a man of genuine integrity. Part three, Caldwell put on leave after investigation into recent leaks. Caldwell was included in the leaked signal chat that was reported last month, in which officials planned the military strikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen. Hegseth named him as the point of contact for the National Security Council as it prepared to launch the airstrikes. The advisor was a vocal critic of the Iraq War, calling it a monstrous crime. Hegseth's deputy chief of staff, Darren Selnick, was also reportedly removed as a result of the leak investigation, according to CBS News. We don't yet know what information Caldwell and Selnick allegedly leaked, but it must have been egregious if it weren't escorting them from the building. But it does demonstrate something important. President Donald Trump has learned his lesson from his first term, which was rife with leaks to the press. Indeed, the White House under Trump's first term was leakier than a thimble and about as effective at preventing information from getting out as Get Smart's cone of silence. Oh my lord, they actually included the video of the cone of silence in the thing. All right, so at least now we have a better idea what's going on here. So that was one of the top stories that I saw today was that one. Let's see what else kind of troubles we can get into, though. Okay, so So apparently, Vice President J.D. Vance proposes rethinking due process for immigrant trials. And this was covered on X yesterday. Consider that Joe Biden allowed approximately 20 million illegal aliens into our country. This placed extraordinary burdens on our country. Our schools, hospitals, housing, and other essential services were overwhelmed. On top of that, many of these illegal aliens have also committed crimes while they've been here. And some of them violent or facilitated fentanyl and sex trafficking. That's the situation we inherited. The American people elected the Trump administration to solve this problem. The president has successfully stopped the inflow of illegal aliens, and now we must deport the people who came here illegally. To say that the administration must observe due process is to beg the question what process is due is a function of our resources, the public interest, the status of the accused, the proposed punishments, and so many other factors. To put it in concrete terms, imposing the death penalty on an American citizen requires more legal process than deporting an illegal alien to their country of origin. When the media and the far left obsess over an MS-13 gang member, now I'm going to stop right here for a second because this is one of the things that has been absolutely driving me crazy because you hear it all over the media. He's not a gang member. You can't have it both ways. One, stop calling him a Maryland man. He wasn't born here. Just because he resides in Maryland does not make him a Maryland man. The other problem is you can't have it both ways. You can't tell me that he deserves asylum because he was fearing for his life because of rival gangs, but at the same time, well, you have no proof that he's a gang member. He admitted as much, which should have been enough to keep him out of the country in the first place. But like, okay, you're afraid of your rival gangs in your home country? Go hang out in Mexico. Go hang out in Canada. Stay the fuck away from America. You cannot have it both ways. And I'm tired of having this conversation with pretty much everyone because I get it. We all want to be the bleeding hearts, happy go lucky. Everybody deserves a shot. Everybody should be able to get into America. You know what? That's great. But if you want to see exactly what happens when you let that happen, look at what happened to California. California, for the first time in forever, fifth largest economy in the world, by the way, actually had a surplus. And then Gavin Newsom said, "Well, since we're going to become a sanctuary state, and since Donald Trump is an asshole, we're just going to let all the illegals have all the health care and all the things." And all it's done is drive up house prices. It's driven up medical costs because it's a strain on everything. Because guess what? Nothing is free. The insurance companies in California are passing on to you everything that they've had to eat because of the illegal aliens, which is what drives me nuts about this whole Tesla thing. You guys wanted communism so bad that now we have insurance. Well, guess what? Now that people are torching Teslas, you think every insurance company isn't going to use that as an excuse to jack the hell out of their rates to try to cover for the people that have the Teslas on their policies in case they get torched? What's going to happen? They're just going to not insure Teslas anymore? You know what would happen if they did that? You know what Elon Musk would do to them if they did that? So all of those costs are being passed on to me and you. Everything that you think is free, every single bit of those costs are being passed on to me and you. Every single bit of it. Every single day. They are finding ways to make us pay for things that we should never have to pay for. And they keep doing it over and over and over again. And what put this forefront to my mind was doing my taxes yesterday and doing taxes because, I help my family with taxes too. So I was doing different returns. And yes, I know we waited till the last minute, but one of them waited till the last minute to give me the documentation. So, but I started looking at all the different things that they count as taxes and all the different, I'm just like, are you kidding me? I mean, I know I'm kind of going on an aside here, but since we've only got 5 minutes to the break, let's talk about something else, which, as far as I'm concerned, should be unconstitutional. I think the only reason it's not is because it's being levied by the state, not the feds. That's property taxes. And here's the thing. When you purchase a home, eventually if you play your cards right and you keep the maintenance up and you take care of the property and you beautify it and you upgrade a few things here and there, eventually they figure out your house is actually worth more than what you paid for it now. Guess what happens though? Your property taxes aren't based on the amount you paid for the home. They're based on the estimated value of the home. What is that? You guys know what that is, right? That is a tax on an unrealized gain. That's the very thing that Kami Lama Hamasnik wanted to do across the board. And well, that's unconstitutional. Well, apparently it's not. Not if every state do it. Because even the states that are getting away from, well, we don't have income tax. Yeah, but you have 3 times the property rate tax that I have. So who's actually winning here? Because, yeah, it's really nice to not go, oh, I did something wrong, so now I owe the state of Oklahoma money. But, oh, now my property taxes, instead of being $3,000 a year, $9,000 a year. Gee, that's lovely. Which, if you have a note like mine and they build the property taxes into your monthly payment so that you don't have to cut a check every year, then guess what? Your mortgage just went up quite substantially. I guess what I'm trying to say to you here is while we're trying to figure all this stuff out, I was told the IRS was going to be abolished. Where's that? Where's that? That's another reason why I waited till everybody's like, why did you wait till the last minute? You knew you had to do this for months. You know why? Because I was told that we were getting rid of the IRS. Where's that? Why have we not done that? I like the idea of an external revenue service because that means we're picking up other people and turning them over and shaking their pockets that are outside of the country. I don't like the fact that my government picks me up, turns me upside down, and shakes my pockets every day just to see if there's a penny that they missed. That's crap. I've talked about this before. Everybody remember the Robin Williams Popeye movie and how much we laughed when we were kids about the little revenue guy coming through and going, oh, well, this is a tax and this is a tax and this is a tax. And he had a list. I mean, long, like running around with a long ass, just, supposed to be comical list. That was in the 80s. Look at us now. If you pay your bills by phone, they have a convenience fee for your ability to pay your bills by phone. Are you kidding? Nothing is convenient about me having to pay my bills. Why am I being paid? Why am I being charged extra because you want me to be able to pay my bill over the phone, or you want me to be able to pay because what you're forcing me to do is pay my bills online if I can, which eventually gets rid of people having to do the jobs. And I get it with AI the way it is right now. The call center jobs, those are gone in about a decade. I guarantee you, if not sooner. And I knew this I knew this years ago. And I told my now ex-wife that, I guess back in 2017-ish, because it was a weekend and she'd forgotten to pay the phone bill. So she was on the automated system with our phone provider paying our phone bill. And so I'm waking up to this conversations he's having back and forth with what to me, while I was half asleep, sounded an awful lot like an actual person. And then no, she's like, I was talking to the computer. I'm like, great, my job's going to be gone in a few years. I guess I might as well start figuring something out. But look, this is dumb. I mean, I get it. It can't be considered unconstitutional because it's not the federal government levying it, and the state does have the ability to levy taxes. That's actually the whole point. The federal government was never supposed to be able to tax you directly. The states are, the cities are, because that's how they raise revenue. The federal government, primarily until we pass that stupid amendment that I talk about all the time, primarily raised revenue through levies and through bonds. If there wasn't enough money in the treasury after the Congress went to something and they couldn't pull it from their own purse, they went to the American people and said, hey, this is what we're trying to do. If you want to be able to help us do that, then if you buy these bonds, we can get it finished. Which ultimately gave us veto power, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. They took that away from us because if there wasn't enough revenue, they had to come to us. Now they don't because they just turn you over and shake your pockets. And then they do whatever they want to do with the money. Now I get it. States should be allowed to raise revenue however they see fit, as long as the people that are living in those states or in those municipalities are the ones voting for it. I have no issue with that. I do have an issue though with things like property taxes, because whether you realize it or not, that makes the state your landlord. Because if you suddenly decide to stop paying those property taxes because you feel like you've paid them for long enough, then eventually they're going to be able to come in and say, hey, you haven't paid your property taxes. We're taking this away from you, which means it was never really yours. I'm going to let you know about an edit that happened in the Declaration of Independence that a lot of people don't talk about because it wasn't originally supposed to be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show, and it is Chat Lives Matter Day right here live on KLRnradio.com. We will be back after these messages. Make sure you come back tonight for the full boat. As far as I know, everybody's on deck and raring and ready to go. As long as we all survive tax day, I think we did. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And for my Rick James crew, y'all know what to do. Okay, we will officially be right back now.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real
and
bad.
It failed.
But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Woo! Y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me go all out. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me act a fool. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me lose my cool. Up in here, up in here. I got to bring it to you cowards, then it's gonna be quick. Oh, you made it in the jail before? Suck my dick.
And welcome back into the Chat Labs Matter Day edition of the Rick Robinson Show. Yeah, we're doing a little faster tempo bumpers today because I was doing taxes till late. Anyway, fun times. All right, so I teased it before the break. So what if I told you that the famous line of every man is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that line. What if I told you that wasn't the original line? What if I told you that they wanted it to say something else, but then thought the South would use it to their favor later? Because no matter what anybody tells you, historically speaking, nobody liked slavery. A lot of the founders didn't want anything to do with it. They didn't. They wanted it, enshrined in the Constitution that we couldn't own people anymore. But they could never make it happen. So because there was concern that if they made that, the actual line that the South would use that as, well, you said. So they decided that it became life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But it used to be everyone has the right to life, liberty, and it was originally going to say property. Because that was one of the biggest things about coming to the Americas is you, as an everyday average person, had the right to own your property. So what if I told you that by your state charging you property taxes, they are removing that right from you? Because that means you don't actually own it. Because here's the thing, folks, I could almost see you having to pay property taxes to the state for as long as you have the mortgage. I really could. But not with the appreciative value. If there's going to be any form of property taxes, it should be forever based on the amount that you paid for the home, not the amount that the home is projected to be worth, because that is a tax on an unrealized gain. And then they get you again, because if you sell it and there was in fact an increase, they get you with capital gains tax. So we have all these things, this person can't be tried twice for the same crime, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to taxation, boy, they don't care. They will double, triple dip and then bend you over and shake you. And anyway. But yeah, so hey, Raptor, glad to see you, man. Don't worry about being late. I get it. It's been a week. This is technically because I didn't do Rails this Monday because I've got to do one tonight anyway, and I almost didn't do anything on Monday, and then Sean was like, hey, in case you want to join. I'm like, you know what, screw it. I like being on other people's shows sometimes even more than I like doing my own, because I don't have to do as much work. So yeah, I did that. So anyway, but yeah, so life, liberty, and the pursuit of property was what it was originally going to say. And then they said, but if we do that, they're likely going to use that. So, but anyway, so I saw a story that was going to tie into this, and now I can't find it. Hang on. There we go. Maybe it's this one. So this is a guest editorial from Red State. But this goes into a lot of things that I have been talking about for forever. And this is the title: The 14th Amendment, which is that pesky one that we talk about all the time here, rightly applied, means way less government and cronyism. So let's see what their premise is here. We recently heard much about the 14th Amendment with regard to birthright citizenship. Actually, I guess maybe that's not the one I was thinking of. Is it tied to that one? I thought anyway. I guess I need to pull up the amendment in a minute. So the default dumb U.S. policy for decades has been a 9-month pregnant woman can stagger illegally across the border as her water breaks, and her immediately born baby is somehow magically imbued with U.S. citizenship. Advocates for this idiocy have cited the 14th Amendment as somehow justifying their idiocy. However, it does not. Here's the pertinent language to which they refer. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. They are, of course, ignoring the language between the commas and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. An illegal alien mother is not subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S., so her newborn baby isn't either. So her newborn baby isn't a citizen. Actually, anti-constitutionalists have repeated constitutional comma problems. Ask Penn and Teller about the comma in the Second Amendment. A key feature of the 14th Amendment is the Equal Protection Clause, critical as part of the U.S. sorting out how to assimilate ex-slaves as equal members of society. There are all sorts of quotes from many people during the amendment debate that clearly demonstrates the amendment citizenship bestowment was meant for freed slaves and only freed slaves because they were already under that particular jurisdiction. Of course, there is much additional amendment language beyond just the cherry-picked selectively read excerpt that the anti-constitutionalists cite in their bizarre birthright citizenship efforts. This language actually further limits and restricts what the federal government can do to us in writing of its laws. This is where the equal protection really kicks in. Nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Proper application of the 14th Amendment means as a whole that a whole lot of laws would be considered unconstitutional. Progressive tax law or any tax law other than a true flat tax would be considered unconstitutional. To pass one law with multiple tax rates or a tax law that has crony tax breaks to which only some citizens have access is denial of many millions of Americans equal protection under those same laws. So I guess it actually is all encompassing there. Nigh everything the feds do is predicated upon punishing enemies and rewarding friends. Laws for thee, but not for me, or vice versa. None of this is constitutional, per that very same pesky 14th Amendment. Think of the massive disempowerment of the federal government the correct application of the 14th would provide. Think of the massive equalization of opportunities the end of anti-14th cronyism would deliver. No more bogus head starts or handouts for the politically corrected, which allows them built-in advantages over their unconnected competitors. The big cronies' government advantages mean greater success, which means they can better afford even more cronyism, which means even greater success, which means wet, lather, rinse, repeat. Big government gives the big cronies benefits, which delivers the big cronies greater success, which allows the big cronies to pay for even more cronyism, which further grows big government, which then is better able to give the big cronies benefits, which again, wet, lather, rinse, repeat. Big government benefits the big cronies, benefit the only losers, you and me. It's all lawfare. Everyone but the cronies get cheated, mistreated, and abused by big government. Cronyism isn't picking winners and losers, it's picking losers at the expense of the winners. The losers end up looking like winners because they are being propped up and propelled forward by the cronyism. It's government force feeding us bad ideas, which deprives us of better ideas because they are overrun by the lesser cronyism fueled bad ideas. See included fake energy, solar and wind are terrible, but hey, look, viable because of the hundreds of billions of dollars of big government cronyism shoving them down our throats, and the idiotic cronyism crowds out that idiotic cronyism crowds out real energy like oil and coal, which makes the entire energy sector work worse for us all instead of working for us all. See also the bank sector, which is rife with cronyism, as any sector is in the U.S. You know what happened to your disappeared neighborhood bank? They had been in your community for decades. Big government cronyism, they killed it. The big banks dominate They received tens of trillions of dollars in government money after they helped destroy the global economy in 2008. Do you guys really think all of that happened by accident? Need I remind you of Agenda 21? Not letting that serious crisis go to waste, big government let the big banks write the Dodd-Frank law that further institutionalized that very same cronyism. Thousands of neighborhood banks have been murdered as a result, which the big banks then buy on the cheap, which further solidifies their bigness, which, again, wet, lather, rinse, repeat. Credit unions are banks that are classified by their government as nonprofits, which allows them all sorts of advantages your for-profit neighborhood bank doesn't get. Let's start with credit unions. They do not pay income taxes. I would say that's a bit of a crony advantage they have over your neighborhood bank. I actually wasn't aware of that, so that surprises me. Speaking of tax cronyism, federal credit unions are also exempt from unrelated business income taxes. Your neighborhood bank? Not so much. Then there is the giant pain in the keister known as IRS Form 990 reporting. Nonprofits have to file these to demonstrate they are behaving honestly and ethically, thereby justifying their so-called nonprofit status. Except credit unions don't have to file them. So they get all the benefits of not paying taxes with none of the downside. That's great cronyism if you can get it. Speaking of lack of reporting and transparency, credit unions are supposed to disclose to the feds the fees they charge to their customers, except the National Credit Union Administration, otherwise known as NCUA, the DC joint allegedly overseeing credit unions, is no longer requiring credit unions to do so. In case you were wondering, the last year credit unions reported was 2023, during which they charged about 5.3 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars in fees. Now unburdened by what was, and no longer having to report their take, I wonder if that nauseating number will fall or rise. I bet you we both know the answer to that question. Credit unions also get subsidies between their tax and nonprofit subsidies. It is estimated they scored $2.1 billion last year. So the reason I wanted to read this, I'm not going to go too much further into it. The reason I wanted to read this is because of this. So the credit unions have been pitched as the answer to big banks and how, well, it's a credit union, so it's different than a bank, and it's this and it's that and it's this and it's better. And look, I get it. I have people that talk, why don't you have an account at that credit union that they just opened right on the outside of town? And I don't know why I didn't ever do it, but there was always just this little tickle in the back of my brain going, there has to be something else here. So this explains so many things to me, because credit unions have been pitched as the anthema to the big banks, when in reality they're just as bad sometimes, if not worse. But this goes into the very idea of everything that I've been talking about. We were asleep at the switch for far too long. Hey, tell the people at work you're busy, Rooster. Just kidding. I know, I get it. This is my job, so I can't complain when your work makes you go away for a minute. I mean, I can, but nobody would care anyway. Um, just saying. But yeah, but the thing about the 14th Amendment, and they're right, this whole progressive income tax thing is dumb, and it's technically unconstitutional, because they are basically elevating people who can afford accountants and have the ability to work all these different tax loopholes and everything else. They're affording them abilities that you, the average American, don't necessarily have. But I also understand why a lot of those loopholes were created. This goes in, and I know we're talking about this a lot, but since yesterday was tax day, I figure this is the perfect time. Those loopholes were created by Republicans who never in a million years thought that the Democrats would be able to get a constitutional amendment ratified to allow people to be turned over and have their pocket shaken. So I know part of the reason why these loopholes are here. And remember, we all used to be wealthy enough that we had accountants. I think that was one of the things that tripped me out, because after Dick Van Dyke made a brief appearance for about 3 weeks worth of episodes on Days of Our Lives, For a minute, Peacock had the Dick Van Dyke Show back up again, and that was in the time that I was desperately craving things to make me laugh because I was depressed all the time. So I went ahead and turned it on. One of the things that tripped me out was everybody had an accountant. Like, they had an accountant that was running everything for them, like figuring out their budget, figuring out what money they could use for this, what money they could use for that. And I remember there was one episode where they were doing a dinner party, and Laura was like, "Oh my God, we need new plates." Not according to the accountant, honey. Sorry. Make do with what we have. I'm just looking at it going, that's one of the differences between then and now. But that's because they keep doing everything they can to squeeze out the middle class. And by they, I mean everybody. It's not just one party trying to do this, folks. Everybody that has gotten a seat at the table in Washington doesn't want you finding a way to get there, doesn't want you finding a way to be self-reliant, because if you become self-reliant, you don't need the folks in DC anymore. What a government should do is what our founding fathers intended our government to do. Have very limited scope, only work on a few different things, and basically make themselves, other than that, almost obsolete, or if you choose, obsolescent, which is basically nearly obsolete. That's how our government was designed to work. It was supposed to be running in the background, kind of like your virus cleaning program. You weren't ever really supposed to know it was there unless there was a problem. And it was like, hey, we're your government and we're going to take care of this because this is under our purview. And now we have all of these other things. And this is exactly what this article and what I've been trying to explain for a long time. The cronyism is rampant everywhere. It doesn't matter what the letter is behind your name. But this is why everybody's freaking out about, and you guys are like, I don't know where he's going with this. But in the last 8 minutes of the hour, let me 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon it for you. This is why everybody that is a cronyist is freaking out over what Donald Trump is doing to reset the world stage when it comes to trade. Because the status quo is going away. The people that have figured out how to get the biggest snouts and the biggest troughs are now being pushed out. That might not be a bad idea. Sorry, I was responding. You know what? Just so everybody knows what I'm talking about, I'm going to put it on the big screen. So, Rooster, my AI accountant said I should buy a 3D printer, Raspberry Pi, and a Bitcoin miner device. I know a lot of people that do that Bitcoin mining thing. I don't know. I'm old. I'm old. Oh, yeah, but I mean, I guess the point that I was trying to make is there are plenty of people that actually don't have accountants anymore, and part of it's because they really can't afford them. But remember, during the time frames that I was talking about, minimum wage was basically the equivalent of 5 silver quarters, which was technically $1.25 an hour until you realize what the silver was worth that the quarters were being made of at the time. Which is back when our money used to mean something. We're trying to get back to that again, but it's going to cause a shakeup to make that happen. All right, so this is a big deal. We're going to talk about this on the way out to the break. So, the UK Supreme Court did something kind of unexpected, in case you missed it. So, on Wednesday, the United Kingdom Supreme Court ruled that transgender women do not fit the legal definition of women. Bum, bum, bum. So, apparently, in Great Britain, they do, in fact, know what a woman is. Justice Patrick Hodge clarified that all 5 judges agreed that the terms woman and sex in the country's Equality Act established in 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. The Equity Act of 2010 gives transgender people protection not only against discrimination, but through the protected characteristic of gender reassignment, he said, asserting that a person who identifies as a transgender person with documentation recognizing them as female should not be considered a woman for those same equality purposes. According to the New York Post, this definition was debated beginning in 2018 via and this is actually a excerpt from the New York Post piece. The definition was challenged in 2018 after the Scottish Parliament passed a law stating that women should make up 50% of the representatives on Scottish public boards. Scottish officials later said female representation included trans women with a gender recognition certificate, which offers legal recognition of someone's female sex under the Equality Act to meet that quota. Women's Scotland, otherwise known as FWS, the women's rights group that brought the legal challenge, argued that Scottish officials' redefinition of women went beyond Parliament's powers, not tying the definition of sex to its ordinary meaning means that public boards could conceivably comprise 50% men and 50% men with certificates, yet still lawfully meet the targets of female representation, the group's director, Trina Bridge, had previously said. Going forward, this landmark ruling could impact sex-based rights and single-sex facilities across the country, clarifying that men who masquerade as women cannot enter women's spaces. I was just surprised that they actually know what a woman is, dude, because they're the reason we're going insane, because they tried all this stuff first and they're further along with it than we are, and they're like, yeah, this isn't working. Which is why they're slowly trying to reverse course. I still think it may be too late for Britain in a lot of ways, but I was honestly pleasantly surprised by this story. Let's see. What other trouble can we get into real quick? Because I thought that would take a little bit longer. All right, so apparently there has been a lot of stuff going on at the border. When we come back, one of the first things we're going to open with is this whole, this span of land that is going to become a militarized zone, which has a lot of people panicking. But I think I might be able to help you breathe a little better. So President Donald Trump excoriated former President Joe Biden on Tuesday over his lax immigration policies. In a post on Truth Social, Trump noted the high number of illegal immigrants with criminal records who reside in the U.S. due to Biden's failure to handle the border appropriately, which led to this crisis. Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, has allowed millions and millions of criminals, many of them murderers, drug dealers, and people released from prisons and mental institutions from all around the world, to enter our country through its very dangerous and ill-conceived open borders. Sorry, but it's my job to get these killers and thugs out of here. That's what I got elected to do. Trump's comments come amid controversy over his immigration policies and the deportation of several individuals to a maximum security prison in El Salvador. You don't want to come to the country illegally. Maybe this would be a good deterrent. The White House is fighting multiple court battles over the issue as the administration continues its efforts to remove illegals who have committed violent crimes. While Biden's policies did not result in millions and millions of criminals entering the country, the border crisis saw a huge uptick in the number of illegal immigrants crossing the border. Over Biden's term, CBP apprehended almost 60,000 criminal illegal aliens, according to CBP data. One of this number, 189 of these individuals were convicted of homicide or manslaughter, while 8,517 were convicted of drug-related possession and or trafficking. So just for fun, let's see if we can watch this clip. Hang on.
At least let us start at a foundation. The guy came into the country in 2011 illegally. That's a federal offense, violation of Title VIII. Ellie, correct me if I'm wrong. A judge did say a couple years later, I believe 2019, that you can be deported. Now, not to El Salvador, but you indeed can be deported somewhere else. And so I'm not opposed to bring him back, but he has to go somewhere else. This notion that people are entitled to break the law, stay in our country with no recourse doesn't make any sense to me. There are very few countries, there are very few countries in the globe, literally, I looked this up, very few numerically speaking, countries that will allow you to violate their immigration laws and say, oh, well, I'm going to stay because of whatever reason, and then they don't have a recourse to remove you. That just doesn't make any logical sense to most people out there.
This is a big red herring, right? Because
Well,
you guys,
no,
it is, because you guys keep talking about the fact that he could be deported somewhere.
The judge said that.
He was specifically not to be deported to El Salvador.
I don't disagree with that. I just said
where
that.
did this administration?
I literally just said that.
Administration?
I just acknowledged that,
Where did this
Julie.
administration?
I just acknowledged that.
Where did this administration deport him to? El Salvador.
And I literally just said bring him back and send him anywhere else. Then that's fine.
In contravention.
Let me let Ellie get it when she.
All right, folks, we're up against it. I gotta go. I usually play bumpers like this on Fridays, but I'm celebrating the fact that I survived tax day. It's a moot point because I've been dead since net neutrality, but I'm still here kicking it anyway. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Things, my crib, my cars, my clothes, my shoes. Look on me, I done came up and I ain't changing. You should love it way more than you hate it. Oh, you mad? I thought that you be happy I made it. I'm that cat by the bar, toasting to the good life. Moved out the hood, now you tryna pull me back, right? My junk get the bumpin'.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risk their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding. Because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
As I get high, from KC to H-Down, connecting Southside. Now we worldwide, watch me high side. Pet, blowing killer, can't be denied. 187 thugs, oh yeah, we got love. Blowing sticky green with flow, and that bug. Wanna be a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala. Caller, get laid tonight. Switch the road tight, got spray my eyes. Now hit the highway.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Pimpin' 80s. Wait, nope, that's not right. As Chat Lives Matter Day. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. All right, welcome into the program, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 1 is in the books. Hour 2 is underway. For those of you on the East Coast, you're coming back from lunch. Keep me in an earbud. I won't tell if you don't. For those of you in God's time zone, you are headed to lunch because it's just a few minutes past the hour of noon, so you're probably heading in the break room right now. Just for fun. I know at least some of you have me cranked up in break rooms as we speak, so get your groove on for just a minute. And on the left coast, it's about 10 o'clock, so some of you just hit the snooze bar for the 14th time today. And Mountain, according to Mickey Blowtorch, nobody cares about you, so hey, just saying. Anyway, welcome back into the program. Welcome back. All right, so let's see. Oh, I guess we got to talk about this. I honestly don't want to, which is why I put it off until now. But the cauliflower in chief, the former vegetable occupants of the White House, came out from underneath his rock yesterday, apparently. We've got some footage. I promise I'm not going to put you through all of it. But here we go.
Who deserve help and paid for most of it. You know, my great friend,
Whoever this guy should have been fired.
Governor O'Malley. He, my dad, the Biden family started off in Baltimore. They don't say Baltimore; it's Baltimore. In Baltimore, and but we've been friends for a long time. And I just want to say at the outset, if you ever want anybody on your team, whether it's an athletic team, whether you're in a battle, whether it's a political team, whether it's a team just trying to help, you want O'Malley. The guy has guts. No, I mean it sincerely. He not only has political courage, he has physical courage. He's across the board. If ever want anybody standing next to me, I want O'Malley there with me.
All right, so we're going to stop right here because it may have been a minute since we've done this primer. But I would like to remind you that anytime he says, not a joke, or no, I mean this seriously, he means the exact opposite. So let that sink in while you continue to listen.
I mean that sincerely. It really matters. I always kid Maryland because Delaware, the second smallest state,
Delaware isn't real.
Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Eastern Maryland.
But we're close friends. And folks, it's no surprise that he did a hell of a job when I asked him to be commissioner of the Social Security. And the reason I did that is not an ordinary transition for a governor. But I knew, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I knew we needed someone with some guts, some toughness, who'd fight for every single penny that it needed, that would try to restore the integrity of the system. And to everyone here today, I want to thank you, all of you, very much for this award. It means a great deal to me coming from you. And I mean that sincerely. It means a great deal. You're in the front lines every single day. You're helping, you're advocating for your fellow Americans, Americans with disability. It's a big deal. We talk about what happened in the physical side of it if we didn't have Social Security. Think of what the psychic calm gives so many people who just don't know where to go, don't know how to traverse what needs to be done.
Wait, hang on.
They're alone.
Hang on. Did I hear him right? I'm going to back this up a second.
We're at the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. As a United States Senator 400 years ago, I was looking back on it. God almighty, I've been doing this 50 years. It's hell turning 40 years old, anyway. But back in the year 1990, I was the co-sponsor of the Americans with Disabilities Act as a United States Senator. In my view, and I suspect many of you, it was one of the most consequential civil rights laws in American history. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. Delaware, like Maryland, was one of those states, was a slave state. We had all the vestiges of what was going on back in the day. We were one of those states that still, I remember moving from Scranton, Pennsylvania down to Wilmington, Delaware, and Cole died. My dad moved back to where we could get a job. And I remember I pulled into, my mom would drive us on the Philadelphia Pike connecting Wilmington and Philadelphia. And we lived in an apartment complex. And she'd drive us it was only about half a mile to Holy Rosary School in Claymont. But it was so dangerous, she wouldn't let us walk up because of access road. I remember pulling into the parking lot. And I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time and I was only going in fourth grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. They never turned.
Oh, that's going to leave a mark. He said black and colored in the same sentence. Oh, boy. And yeah, I know you guys have heard some of the other clips of him railing on Trump, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I don't give a crap about that. I would just like to point out that the same people that have been telling me and you for decades that Joe Biden's not racist anymore. Yeah, he pretty much just proved that he is. And that's pretty much where I'm going to leave that because that's the only point that I wanted to make. I don't care about how much he's railing on Trump. I don't care about any of that crap because he not only did he not win, he stepped aside after being pressured out by his own party, by somebody who's around the same age as him who refuses to leave. I don't know if he would have done better or worse than Kamila Mohammosnik. I don't know how he could have possibly done any worse. But that's what happens when you're a stoneless. Oh, I almost said a word even I don't usually try to. Ooh, yeah. Did I mention I'm sleep deprived? All right, so let's see what else kind of trouble we can get into, preferably without me crossing a line. So, boy, this Boasberg dude is not going to go away. So this is from Susie Moore, and this just came out like within the last 5 minutes. There he goes again. Judge Boasberg finds probable cause to hold government in contempt over AEA case. We'll mark this one down as no big surprise, but Judge James Boasberg, the presiding judge of the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, has now issued an opinion finding probable cause the Trump administration's actions in regard to the Alien Enemies Act, AEA/Tren de Aragua TDA case constitute contempt. This is from Kyle Cheney. Just in, Judge Boasberg finds probable cause to hold administration in contempt of court for defying his order to turn around planes, demands new details in order for officials to purge their contempt. And sure, anyway. To jog memory, since there is so much going on, ongoing litigation regarding the administration, this is the case involving the flights of purported TDA gang members to El Salvador on March 15, 2025. Emergency hearings held that day, a Saturday, resulted in Boasberg issuing a temporary restraining order and ultimately extending it to a putative class that included all TDA members subject to the AEA proclamation issued by President Trump. Lots of legal wrangling has ensued since, including a trip to the Supreme Court, which just last Monday handed the Trump administration a win with a determination that Boasberg didn't have proper jurisdiction over the case. His orders were vacated, and the 5 named plaintiffs in that suit have since filed habeas actions in the jurisdictions where they are being held. Some may have assumed that since the Supreme Court ruled he did not have jurisdiction over the case, that would moot any potential issues as to contempt. Not according to the not so honorable Boasberg in his 46-page order, which may be viewed in full below. And actually, I'll link that later if you guys want me to. So, and I'm not going to, I guess we'll read this part because it's important. One might nonetheless ask how this inquiry into compliance is able to be to proceed at all, given that the Supreme Court vacated the TRO after the events in question. That court's later determination that the TRO suffered from a legal deficit or legal defect, however, does not excuse the government's violation. Instead, it is a fundamental legal precept that every judicial order must be obeyed. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? No matter how erroneous it may be, until a court reverses it. Walker v. City of Birmingham, 388 U.S. 307, 314, which was in 1967. If a party chooses to disobey the order rather than wait for it to be reversed through the judicial process, such disobedience is punishable as contempt, notwithstanding any later revealed deficiencies in the order. See ID at 314, 320. That fundamental or foundational rule of law answers not just how the compliance inquiry can proceed, but why it must. See also at 320. The rule reflects a belief that in the fair administration of justice, no man can be judge in his own case, no matter how exalted his station or righteous his motives. The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders, especially by officials of a coordinate branch who have sworn an oath to uphold it. To permit such officials to freely annul the judgment of the courts of the United States would not just destroy the rights acquired under those judgments, it would make a solemn mockery of the Constitution itself. Okay, so this is the slippery slope that we find ourselves in today, because these are supposed to be co-equal branches of government. The governing body of his particular branch, the judicial, said, you fucked up. You can't do this. This would be the same as people being charged with following unlawful orders, the orders being deemed unlawful, and then them still being able to be punished through the court-martial process because they chose to follow unlawful orders. The Supreme Court basically said this was an unlawful order. You cannot do this. So I don't give a shit what this judge thinks. And this is why I am perfectly fine with people within the judiciary who decide that they want to try to be big swinging dicks can be impeached because they deserve to be. Exactly. Not only what Roe v. Wade, but let's not forget all of the leftist tap dancing when the Supreme Court told Joe Biden, hey, you can't do this with student loan debts. How many times did he take to social media? And I know, before anybody yells at me, I know it actually wasn't him posting, so it's all right. Take a breath. But I will say this: how many times were social media posts every time the Supreme Court said, hey, you can't do that? Where he's like, oh well, you see, I'm going to do it anyway. Sauce for the goose, motherfuckers. We didn't open this can of worms. You did. Now it's going to be your problem as much as it is ours. And I hope you like how the sauce tastes on your tongue. Because we didn't start this. We didn't. We didn't start any of this. Again, most of us, including me, who have been doing this now for going on 17 years, just wanted to be left alone. That's it. That's all. No more, no less, nothing in between. Just wanted to be left alone. Wanted the government out of our business. Didn't want the government telling us what we could do, what we couldn't do, within reason. I get there have to be some rules and some laws because people are retarded. I understand that. But I basically just wanted to be left alone. It didn't work out that way, but that's what I wanted. And that's why you have me here doing these things today. So if you don't like it, I guess since we're on this topic, in case you didn't know, there's some Democratic folks headed down to El Salvador to try to spring the dude. So this just came out too. By came out, I mean like just now. Startling new info emerges on deported MS-13 illegal, and it makes Chris Van Hollen look even more foolish, if that were possible. Just when you thought you knew everything there was to know about the case of Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, the illegal alien from El Salvador with ties to MS-13, who was recently returned to his homeland by the Trump administration, even more news surfaces that doesn't paint the Maryland man in a very good light. It turns out that Abrego Garcia had not one, but two protective orders taken out against him by his wife, Jennifer Vasquez, for domestic violence. This is the same wife who appeared in front of TV cameras Tuesday to dramatically tell the media, I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive. Oh, and please donate to my GoFundMe when you have the chance. Investigative reporter Andy No, doing God's work, I love this dude, was the first to uncover a record showing that Vasquez had filed for a protective order against Abrego Garcia back in May of 2021, citing domestic violence as the primary reason. A deeper dig by Red State into Maryland court records uncovered a second protective order filed by Vasquez against Abrego Garcia from August of 2020, again citing domestic violence. The content of this guy's character is coming into pretty clear focus at this point. No, for those keeping score at home, here's a snapshot of the left's newest martyr. He was illegal, has ties to MS-13, and is apparently an alleged domestic abuser. As this new information about Abrego Garcia's violent past was coming to light, Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland continued his theater kid shtick by hot-footing it down to El Salvador in the hopes of worshiping at the altar of an illegal gangbanger with a documented history of domestic abuse. The Trump White House was quick to note that Van Hollen had tweeted at least 10 times in support of the violent illegal, while not once ever mentioning Rachel Morin, the Maryland mom of 5 who was brutally raped and murdered by yet another illegal Salvadoran. To recap, Chris Van Hollen and the Democratic Party are going all in on protecting the rights of illegals. Consequences to actual Americans like Rachel Morin be damned. This lackadaisical attitude to protecting American citizens is all too pervasive in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia, otherwise known as the DMV area. Is that where they got that acronym from? Because that would explain a lot. Anyway, home to several thousand MS-13 gang members, there are scores of miscreants like Kilmer Abrego Garcia wandering our streets every day. They congregate in places like Home Depot, or like in my town's case, the local 7-Eleven. guess it's a good thing it's not a Circle K. Seeking work as day laborers. They suck up law enforcement resources as they beat their women and drive drunk on our streets. Their gang ties make them dangerous to all around them, especially the girls and young women on whom they prey. Sure, this is a generalization, but I see the generalization in my community every day. It's disheartening and enraging that one party, as so unashamedly embodied by Chris Van Hollen himself, insists on forcing their criminal chaos on law-abiding citizens. The next time you hear Democrats like Chris Van Hollen droning on about due process to violent illegals like Kilmer Abrego Garcia, remember what they're actually defending is a repeated domestic abuser with gang ties who should have never been in this country in the first place. This isn't compassion, it's calculated neglect. Actually, let's call it what it is: open and blatant betrayal. That's what it is. And that's the truth of all of this. If you, and again, this isn't about party. This is about the establishment. These people have been betraying you for years in every way possible, lying to you about how everything was, lying to you about the things that they were going to do, lying to you about the very reasons why they were doing them, and then couldn't understand why we eventually got pissed off when they overtipped their hands during COVID, because that's what happened. If not for COVID, I get bad things happen during COVID, and I lament and mourn every person who passed because of this whole China virus bullshit and our hand in it as far as our federal government. I really do. But at the same time, if that didn't happen as it did, when it did, you and I would probably already be off the fiscal cliff that I've been trying to warn about for the last 17 years. I don't know if we're going to be able to stop it. I truly don't. I don't know if America has the stomach for it anymore. I really don't, because I see everybody, oh my God, my Nikes are going to get more expensive. You know, there's an interesting thing about this whole tariff thing that nobody talks about, because what if I told you, and this is using the 25% original tariff as a baseline. So it takes China $10 to manufacture a pair of Nikes. This is just to use that same baseline. It's not the sale price that is being attached to, which is a lot more. It's the actual production cost price. So that means it costs China $12.50 instead of $10 to manufacture Nikes. Which means, let's be completely honest, even at, what are we at, 145% now? Let's just do 150%, just to make the math easy. Even at 150% tariff, that means it's costing China $25 per set of sneakers now to manufacture Nikes. That's not, I mean, it's a lot per unit when you get to the unit cost, but it's not the way that everybody wants you to think it is. We're talking about pennies on the dollar for China. When all we're really saying with China is, hey, we know you've been stealing from us for years, and nobody was willing to do anything about it because we wanted access to your plentiful market. But your market's not as plentiful as it once was because you let a lot of your people die, and you're floundering now, which is why you are trying to basically rattle your sabers, because you don't want people to realize how weak you actually are. What do you think is happening in Russia right now? Why do you think they picked now, or 4 years ago? I think we're almost 4 years now at this point, to try to stroll into Ukraine. It was to show everybody that they are not as weak as they appear. Because Russia's been looking pretty weak lately too. I mean, there's been rumors of Putin being sick now for years. Years. All right. Well, believe it or not, we have hit that point already. And we've got to take the break. We are at bottom of hour 2, so we've still got the rest of this hour and an entire third hour coming at you on the other side of the break. Gives you a good chance, if you would be so inclined, to tell your friends about the show, share it out wherever you happen to be finding us at. If you have not done so yet while we're on the break, feel free to pop over to our YouTube channel and our Rumble channel and give us a subscribe. Now, I keep getting this from a lot of folks, so subscribing over there doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't cost you anything, so just go ahead and click that button. We'll be right back. My name's Rick Robinson. This is my show, and it is Chat Lives Matter Day. Don't forget, I'll be back starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, doing this all over again until about 2 or so, because I'm insane. Be right back. That wasn't even on purpose, but it's perfect.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
So when I'm coming to see you,
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
Yeah. An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
No matter how many cats I break bread with, I break who you sending me. You motherfucker never wanna know what your life saved. Demo, that's on a life day. I'm getting down. Like it said freeze. It won't be the one ending up on his knees. Please, if the only thing you cats did was came out to play.
All right, welcome into the program, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're into hour 2. We're about halfway through. Since it's been a minute and I didn't get to do this yesterday, we are going to play a bit from our good friends Gene and Ross over at Buffoon of the Week. Stephen A. Smith is back in the news. Let's give this a watch.
Are you really thinking about running for president? I would hope somebody else would step up that's more qualified than me. But if it has to come down to me, it is something I would consider. Yes, I would. Because I don't mind the thought of tussling with these folks at all, on the left or the right.
When it comes to politics, he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey everybody, and welcome to This Week in Dumb
Democracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. People are already looking forward to the 2028 presidential election cycle, and I'm just begging you out there, can I have a break?
No more! I can't take it.
2024 knocked the crap out of me. I was hoping to get a little bit of a reprieve in 2025, but no. Some of you out there are starting to float the names of candidates, including the man you see on the screen, Stephen A. Smith from ESPN. Now, Stephen A., I love his position on the Dallas Cowboys. I appreciate his position on the New York Knicks and his anti-LeBron stance. I'm with him 100% on that. But Democrats are thinking and wondering really whether Stephen A. is the answer for their candidate in 2028. Now, this is still way early on, and while Stephen A. Smith has not closed the door on running for president, he says he'd prefer not to. But if he must, then he must, and he's leaving the door slightly open, as he discussed over the weekend on ABC News. We're going to go through this infatuation with Stephen A. Smith, where it started, how it's going, what insiders are saying, and really take a look at Stephen A. and his own disposition towards running for president. Is he the Democratic answer to Donald Trump? I think that certainly remains to be seen. But while we're having this discussion, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video on the channel, you know what to do already. You're going to smash that thumbs up button. You're going to like, share the show with your friends, all that really, really good stuff. Because all that's going to help this channel grow via the YouTube algorithm. Feed me. The whispers of a Stephen A. candidacy started a couple of months ago, and it seems to be growing, especially since insiders like James Carville try to put a damper on it in favor of established candidates like Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, for example. By the way, thoughts and prayers to his family for what they've endured with this arson attempt that occurred from this leftist whack job. I hope he and his family are doing well. But back to the topic right now. Stephen A. hasn't closed the door. He's left it open a crack. And he seems to be talking the talk of a very Trumpian populist candidate, only coming from the left. He doesn't seem to have an affinity to establishment politics, as he displayed on ABC News. We're going to run through some of the comments he's made publicly, some reaction to that, and even Stephen A.'s reaction to those insiders trying to put a damper on what he may be doing come 2028. Before we get to this clip, just a quick reminder to everybody out there that we debuted Buffoonology 101, our weekly show where we decide who is going to be the buffoon of the week. It's a competition between me and Ross Galloway, and there's still time to vote on the first buffoon of this endeavor. Check it out in the community tab on YouTube right now. So let's get to the clip talking about Stephen A. Smith leaving the door open for a possible 2028 presidential run.
Just want to let y'all know where I'm at. Not interested in running. Hope it doesn't come to that. But I was told I owe it to all of us to at least leave the door open. That's what I did. By the way, this week, this Sunday, I'm scheduled to be on This Week with George Stephanopoulos on ABC. And practically every other network is called. They're apparently taking it very seriously. So I have no choice but to do so. It just comes down to that. It just comes down to that.
Now, we're certainly in the honeymoon phase for many candidates, especially from the Democrats, who are going to be jockeying for position when it comes to 2028. This is the time where a lot of pundits and people in politics tend to say that it's time to fall in love with a candidate until it's time later on to fall in line behind a candidate. Stephen A. Smith is certainly being considered. He's been outspoken on politics, and it's resonated with a lot of people. I've certainly put his opinion on the channel here. I've agreed with Stephen A. Smith. He seems to be a populist. He doesn't want to be sort of pigeonholed as a partisan. I can appreciate and respect that. And he doesn't seem to have time for political buffoonery, and that I can certainly appreciate. He mentioned his appearance on ABC this week. Let's go to that right now.
I saw you mentioned Bill Maher. I saw Steve Bannon was on with Bill Maher, and he was asked what Democrats he worries about. And you know the only name he mentioned?
I actually have that clip. Let's go to it right now.
For a third term, is there any Democrat who scares you that he could be running against? Because I guess if we allow that, it could be Obama.
Absolutely. I think that'd be great. Alien versus Predator. Let's do it. President Trump already said. President Trump already said.
That's kind of a worse insult to Trump, I think.
If you want to bring President Obama, who I think has lost his fastball, but go ahead and bring him.
Okay.
Okay. Right now, all the governors you have, I don't think anybody will stand up to Trump. You're going to have to run someone like a Stephen A. Smith or someone in your kind of celebrity category. That'll be the Democratic nominee that would have the best shot at President Trump. But I think he's unbeatable.
So he did mention President Obama in the case of a possible third term, which Ross and I joked about on Behind Enemy Lines a couple of weeks ago.
I'm a believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump.
I now present to you for your inspection and consideration the third term project. I found this website, thirdtermproject.com, where you can sign up to support Donald Trump's third term project. So I guess technically Stephen A. was the only candidate mentioned that wouldn't be barred from running. So, okay, we'll give it to ABC News for that one. But let's continue on.
As a Democrat, he'd be worried about. So are you really thinking about running for president? Is this something you think?
Listen, I have no choice because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names, elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician. I just signed a contract extension with ESPN. I am very, very
pretty
happy
good one, too.
With my day job. I'm very happy with my bosses. It's a pretty damn good one. Just right. It's a pretty damn good contract. I couldn't be happier.
And, you know, those hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever he's getting, I think it's like a $110 million contract. Good on you, Stephen A., for earning that contract and being a strong voice in sports journalism. But the thing about sports journalism is that when you're wrong on predictions, when you're wrong in analyzing an issue, the penalties to your reputation aren't nearly as significant as you are when you're a political commentator. When you're one of those insiders or you're one of those pundits or prognosticators or politicos that we often make fun of here. No one's going around tracking Stephen A.'s predictions from day to day because there's so many of them that he's making when it comes to different games, different leagues, different seasons going on. So the consequences for being wrong in sports, it's just an opinion. Everybody's got one, and not everyone is right all the time. In fact, probably people aren't right half the time. But when it comes to politics and the microscope that you're under, I think Stephen A. would find that the intense pressure on being right in politics certainly is magnitudes greater than when it comes to his own chosen field.
But here's the reality. People have walked up to me, including my own pastor, for crying out loud, who has said to me, you don't know what God has planned for you. At least show the respect to the people who believe in you, who respect you, who believe that you can make a difference in this country, to leave the door open for any possibilities 2 to 3 years down the line. And that's what I've decided to do. But again, whether it's Westmore, Governor Westmore, who I know, or Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who I know.
Nice name drop.
I mean, he's kind of got the gift of gab going as well. He knows how to do those little drop-ins here and there. Pretty darn good. I'm appreciating his rap here. I'm digging it.
Andrew Cuomo, who I had the pleasure of interviewing, who's trying to get back in things and be the next mayor of New York, etc.
Okay, now you lost me. Those of you who know on the channel, Andrew Cuomo, my mortal enemy. I got vendetta going on with him running for mayor of the People's Republic of New York City. I think he's an irredeemable buffoon. So there is a significant disagreement I have with Stephen A. But be that as it may.
I see a lot of people that obviously and clearly are more qualified than me. But in the same breath, when you think about what Trump is getting away with, when you think about what you brought up about Steve Bannon, who's trying to be slick because he's looking at a non-political individual like myself, looking at me as a populist, but you better be careful what you ask for, because some of the stuff that Trump and the right has been trying to get away with, like circumventing the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, talking about how there could be a third term. Excuse me, be careful what you wish for, because if any GOP member, if any Republican supports that, I don't want to hear a word out of their mouth ever again about the following the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. That's what they've been living off for years. And then you're talking about circumventing the 22nd Amendment, and you think that's cool? No way. That's not something that we should stand for. So I would hope somebody else would step up that's more qualified than me. But if it has to come down to me, it is something I would consider. Yes, I would, because I don't mind the thought of tussling with these folks at all, on the left or the right. All of them disgust me, to be quite honest with you.
And that's what I respect about Stephen A. Smith. He is not a partisan. At least that's not what he's portraying himself to be. He certainly openly represents that he comes from a left of center perspective. He's open and honest about that. I get it. But he is not one of these partisans who fight for the laundry that we've talked about here on the show. And I certainly respect that about him. If he wants to be a populist from the left, I think that if he gets up to speed into politics, he would probably be a formidable opponent for whomever would be the candidate in 2028 from the Republican side. But the Stephen A., I guess, trial balloon, whatever you want to call it, which has been around for a couple of months, certainly had a negative reaction from at least one establishment Democrat, that being that old curmudgeon that we featured here on the channel before, James Carville. And when we come back from the break, we're going to see what Carville said about Stephen A. back in February, when this idea of a Stephen A. Smith for president trial balloon first came to light. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
When it comes to politics, he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Damn! Carville coming in hot in reacting to a possible Stephen A. Smith candidacy for president. And would you expect anything less, really? Carville is an insider. He's been around for decades now, and he's one of the gatekeepers of Democrat politics. Obviously, he would want someone else from within the party hierarchy to step up and be the nominee. And that would be someone that he would probably be grooming, and he would be supporting someone like maybe a Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania or something like that. Clearly, Carville doesn't want the field clogged up with populists like Stephen A. Smith because they're wild cards. Think about Donald Trump back when he first ran for president. He was the wild card and sort of captured lightning in a bottle and just tore through the Republican field to get the nomination to run against Hillary Clinton. Could Stephen A. Smith do the same thing on the Democrat side and really turn that party on its ear, turn things upside down, turn the power structure upside down? In my opinion, Democrats find comfort in their power structure, in their hierarchy. And when that monolith gets disrupted by someone, whether it be a Bernie Sanders or a John Fetterman, they do everything they can to tamp down that energy, possibly coming from the grassroots or coming from outside the party apparatus.
The nail that sticks out gets hammered.
Seems like Carville is trying to nip Stephen A.'s possible chances right in the bud here.
He's on that running his goddamn mouth about how he may have to run as a Democrat because there's nothing left of the Democratic Party. There's no talent. Stephen A., are you shitting me?
Language.
See, it's exactly what I thought it was. Carville is trying to defend the Democrat brand and tout those within the party that he believes could be the nominee in 2028. He's being a gatekeeper.
I mean, you say you're friends with Wes Moore and you say you're friends with Josh Shapiro. I'm friends with both of them. I think they're really extraordinary, talented people. I got news for you, dude. That's 6 or 7 other people in the Democratic Party that are just that talented. So before you start running your fucking mouth off about politics, a topic of which you really don't know anything about, you ought to sit back and think about it and call some people and run it by them. But don't let your political stupidity stand in the way of your outspoken and I think often insightful views when it comes to American sports, of which I think you are an expert at. And if you know Wes and you know Josh, you should call them and run your opinions by them, because I know both of them and they're both smart guys and they're both very ambitious guys. And the last thing that they're thinking is, if I decide that I want to take the next step in American politics, I'm going to be facing some brutal, brutal opposition. And they both know that. And they know it deep down and they know it well. So Stephen A., keep up your shit on sports. I enjoy it. I like it, but don't make a fool of yourself anymore in talking about politics.
Basically, Carville just told Stephen A. Smith, stay in your lane. You're getting in over your head when it comes to politics. Mind you, this is the same James Carville that predicted that Kamala Harris was going to win the presidency and was backing her the whole time, saying she had the money, she had the momentum, and it turned out to be nothing of the sort. I think maybe he's a little threatened by the possibility of a popular national figure like Stephen A. Smith jumping into politics. And this gatekeeping seems like an effort to stop another energetic, enthusiastic person from coming into the Democrat Party. Why would Democrats turn down energy and enthusiasm? Because it's all about control. It's all about whether or not the party apparatus, the party leadership, can control the candidate. And Stephen A. Smith, based upon the statements we heard from him on ABC this week, he doesn't fit the bill for that. He doesn't seem like a controllable person, the least of which from someone like James Carville. And if you needed further proof to show that Stephen A. Smith would not be controlled by insiders like James Carville, take a listen to this.
Do you know what kind of havoc I'd wreak if I sat down for a few weeks and just buried my brain and my face and my mind into the nuances of politics and what transpires on Capitol Hill? Are y'all sure y'all want that smoke? You sure about that? I mean, because it's like you're daring me to, Mr. James Carver. It's like you're daring me to. You sure? Are you sure? Might want to think about that. Because you see, when you sit back and you allow your ire to subside and you embrace the true, authentic words that I was spewing, I wasn't questioning Josh Shapiro. I wasn't questioning Westmore. I'm not even questioning somebody like Harold Ford Jr., who works on the 5 on Fox News. I think that the composure that he shows and what have you, he's a former representative. I think he could do some good things. All of these people are more qualified than me. All of them are more knowledgeable than me. How difficult is it to get knowledgeable about politics if I really, really wanted to make some noise? All it takes is a few weeks and a few phone calls with people that I can clearly talk to because I got them on speed dial. It ain't that hard. It's just not a lane I want to venture into in an official capacity. I'd much rather remain a pundit and a commentator. But if you really, really think, James Carville, about what I said, you've been saying the exact same things. Which brings me to the culminating point of my diatribe. That, dare I say, might make you a bit uncomfortable. Is what I said really the problem? Since most of what I've said are things that I also heard you say? Or is it the fact that some novice who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the wall when it comes to politics is resonating in the political stratosphere more than you?
Damn! That right there, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in between, whether you like it or not, is some Trumpian energy coming from the left. It feels to me like Donald Trump and Stephen A. Smith would be cut from the same cloth, that they both observe problems from the outside looking in, and they don't care about the solutions coming from within, because those partisans like James Carville, they had their chance. They had their moment to try to fix things, and they chose to act in a partisan way rather than in a problem-solving manner. Donald Trump has been doing what he thinks is the best for solving problems in government, whether it be with Doge or whether it be with his vision to sort of remake the global marketplace. Whether you agree with him or not, he is looking to do reforms. I think Stephen A. Smith would be doing the same thing, only from the left. And I think that scares the crap out of people like James Carville, because they can't control Donald Trump, but it's really the Republicans' problem to try to, quote unquote, control him and manage him. If they had a firebrand like Stephen A. Smith just come out of nowhere and smash through the Democrat field, and he's clearly more of a populist than he is a partisan, then it would be a really interesting task to see Democrats trying to pull him to the left to toe their partisan line. And I don't think that would happen here. I mean, this energy from Stephen A. Smith, this is the energy of an independent candidate. This is the energy of a reformer. And you know what? Stick it right in my veins. I may not necessarily agree with his policy points and positions, but I can respect the man for being an independent thinker and not being a partisan that is looking to perpetuate a tribal point of view when it comes to governing in Washington, or to continue to toe a line that the good old boys had established for decades. Right now, many years out from the presidential election cycle in 2028, it's nice to dream about a Stephen A. candidacy if you're someone on the left that is frustrated with how things have been going for your party as of late. It's nice to think about having a left-leaning populist with national recognition and who doesn't have the taint of a political record as your standard bearer, much like Republicans fell in love with the idea of Trump being that same type of candidate in 2016. Clearly, it's also the nightmare of some insiders like that dinosaur Carville, who tried to put cold water on the entire idea to begin with, try to nip it in the bud. But all he did really is allow Stephen A. Smith the opportunity to show his class, to show that he's able to rhetorically play with the big boys. I mean, after all, he's been talking about sports and having real hot takes that he needed to defend for several years now, and has been very successful at it. So he's able to form arguments and to grab attention when needed. I think that he would need more than a few weeks to understand the nuance of politics. Probably more like a few months, maybe a year, to really dive down into it, do a deep dive into the political landscape, get the lay of the land, and to also associate with people around him that he could trust to guide him where others would try to sabotage him. And I think that was the problem with the first Trump presidency. He thought he found those people, and in many cases, they weren't his friends. They ended up being snakes that betrayed him, or that he did not have trust in, and he gave trust to them and ended up paying for giving that trust. So that would be an obstacle that Stephen A. Smith would have to sort of jump over in order to be considered a serious candidate in 2028, if he even wants to go down that route. He seems pretty happy just talking about whatever he wants to talk about, not really having anyone to answer to, and being able to say what he wants. There's a freedom to being on the outside of politics and talking politics. You get more credibility that way, but you also make a lot of enemies that way within parties if you talk bad about sort of your own, if you go against the quote-unquote party line. But when you think about populism and the success of populism on the right, I wouldn't blame the left for embracing that same sort of populism from a left of center candidate like a Stephen A. Smith. I'm sure that Josh Shapiro and Wes Moore and Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom wouldn't like it, but I also think it would be very interesting to see those same people on a debate stage with Stephen A. Smith. I would pay to see that. Hook that in my veins. But listen, hey, that's just my opinion on these possibilities on the left. Mainly, I got the popcorn out, and I want to see Stephen A. take steps forward into politics just to see how he would skewer partisans on both the left and the right. I would really be entertained by that. But I want to know what you think about a possible Stephen A. Smith candidacy. Let me know in the comments. We'll hit those discussions together. And as always, like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. Tell me what you think about a populist left emerging after a Trump presidency. Is that a good thing? Do you think that the right would be threatened by someone like Stephen A. Smith? Certainly the left seems to be so. Let's get into those comments together to discuss this video and all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in dumb
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that said shenanigans.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.
We're not offending you. We're not doing our jobs right. All right, folks, we are up against it. Actually went a little bit long to finish that clip. So much more to talk about on the other side of the top of the hour break. But the good news is I get to come back and do this again later. So whatever we leave on the table this afternoon, we'll cover this evening. My name's Rick Robinson. This is my show right here live on KLRN Radio, and we'll be right back.
Regulators, mount up. It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets trying to consume some skirts for the E, so I could get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone.
Just hit the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. Seen a car full of girls, ain't no need to.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRN Radio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars, come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risk their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has. When you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Cause me and my clique, we don't give a fuck, nigga. Trick Daddy. Let's go. If you know that you can get it, let me know. Let me know. I'm about to fuck my nigga up. Let's go. If you know that you can get it, let me know. Let me know. I'm about to fuck my nigga up. Let's go. If you want some, come get some. Cause where I'm from, we so big on. And everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it. And I won't answer now. Who, what, where, why? See, a lot of dudes like to act the fool now. Get on live, but that ain't my style. So who he gonna get and what he gonna do? Run up on me if you want to. Hot damn pressing his homies. He's done up in front of his mama. I'm up the floor with him. And I kick in the door and let the go get him. I got fools that'll go get him. That's the him and crew and the dudes that run with him.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Chat Lives Matter Day, right here live on KLRradio.com. Don't forget, I'll be back tonight starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Grouchy one is off tonight, so it will be an extended America Off the Rails. To actually make up for the fact that I didn't do a show, well, my show on Monday. I did somebody else's show on Monday, so that should still count. But anyway, you guys are going to be getting me for 2 hours, then me and Stacy for an hour, then me and the Amish one for an hour. Then we'll go over into the Behind the Enemy Lines area. Just don't let them see across the border. With our good friends Gene and Ross. Then we'll actually, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. We'll be going over to SHR Media first for The Edge of Liberty with Sean Lewis. Then we'll go over to Behind the Enemy Lines over at the Buffoon of the Week channel. Then we'll come back to SHR Media for our closing act, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, where the truth is never watered down, neither are the drinks. But he ain't commie, so the drinks ain't free either. So belly up to the bar for our last call over there at KLRMradio.com. Again, I'm Rick Robinson, and do have a bit of an announcement this hour. Starting in May, we have Corin Nimick joining our lineup for, first Sunday in May for a new show called Corin's Reading Room. So hope you guys will check that out. He will actually be between the Vincent Charles Project and our beloved aliens shows. So we actually have we're filling in some spaces around here. We've got a few left, but we're slowly filling them in. You guys make all of this possible, so thank you for everything that you do, whether it's telling your friends about us, whether it's sharing the feeds. Some of you have even opted to donate, which you can do using that little tag right there in the corner. And honestly, that's not even required. All we really ask that you do is listen to us as often as possible. Take us with you in your car. You can do that using most podcast apps. Not necessarily live yet. We're working on that part, but not yet. Unless you like Bluetooth everything into your car and just have the Rumble stream or whatever running, that would work. You can do that too. Just don't watch the video while you're driving. It's his fault that I got a ticket. Not my fault. I told you not to do it. I told you not to do it. All right. So let's see where we want to go first. I think we're going to start here because he was actually in the last segment, but he said something interesting that I just heard this morning. So when this is not very long, I found the shortest way possible that I think covers what I wanted you guys to hear. But this was kind of a revelation for me. So hang on. Hang on, it's not working. I don't know. All right, hang on. It didn't change over. It was supposed to. I had it on the screen. I swear. I don't know what happened. All right, so hang on. Let's try this again. Gremlins are real, yo.
I can't really understand these people, but they believe that the highest.
I'll tell you right now.
What just happened?
I can't really understand these people, but they believe that the highest title you can have is your pronoun. They believe that they are the wave of the future. They believe, and have said it multiple times, that there are tens of millions of sleeper people out in the country that are just waiting for the true progressive argument to be activated at the sound of the trumpet of real left-wing identity. Of course, to me, the only thing they reimagine is how to go in the ditch. The only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word democratic in any title that you have, because most Democrats that I know that are running for office don't want your name, don't want you to be part of the.
I'll tell you.
I can't really understand these people, but they believe.
Sorry about that. I was trying to see how much time we have.
I'll tell you right now.
When I change,
I can't really understand.
Messes everything up. This is why I don't really like the shorts thing very much. Which is an odd thing for somebody who's a member of Team No Pants, but that's not the shorts I'm referring to. But yeah, so you heard the most of it. Now he actually goes on to say that he thinks that the progressives should split off from the Democratic Party and then maybe rally at election time to help push the Democrats over anyway. I couldn't really agree with him more. I want to do everything I can to encourage this schism because I've not seen this before. The Democrats are always the united front, always. And now they are just mad at each other. There's circular firing squads going on, all the things that they used to accuse us of doing, which we did. I'm not saying that we didn't, but I'm just saying it's interesting to see it start happening on the other side. But this goes back to what Gene was talking about a minute ago. This is what happens when populism enters the chat. Because populism doesn't care about the letter behind your name. Populism only cares about fixing things that you view as problems. Now, the left and the right have different definitions of what we consider a problem, which is why so many people that are the establishment, the oligarchs, everything else, including one Bernie Sanders, who is an oligarch, whether he wants to tell you he is or not, have a different idea of what it means to fix this place because we have different ideas of what's actually broken. And again, I don't know who's right or wrong. I just know that I'm actually glad that we're trying something different. That we're not doing the same things over and over and over again, which is what we've done for most of the time that I've been alive. All right, so moving on to the next thing. I can't say I didn't see this coming because I kind of did. Because remember, I've been telling you for a long time that the left's only real tool is projectionism. So this is from Red State. This is from our friends. This is from our friends at Red State, written by Bonchi. Huge plot twist, or kind of a meh, in my opinion. Anti-Trump Attorney General and resistance hero Letitia James facing federal criminal referral. Oh noes, not that. Anything but that. Not that. All right, so we've got a video clip of it, so I'm going to get that queued up instead of you guys having to listen to me talk about it, because reasons.
The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type and more favorable loan.
All right, so I'm just going to say this as somebody that, has done some recent rounds with mortgage lenders, etc. These people are going to do everything they can to try to get you money within reason. So, am I really that surprised that most likely somebody who was coaching her said, "Hey, do this instead of that"? Not really. But this is a huge pot kettle moment because she was doing the very same things that she was accusing Donald Trump of doing and thought she was never going to be caught, allegedly. I have to throw that in there now. But it's delicious irony and very nice hypocrisy to realize that she's having a pot kettle moment here because the very same things that she was accusing Donald Trump of doing and tried to have him, thrown in jail over, apparently she's been doing herself. And again, I would like to point out that what happens, and this happens all the time, the mortgage lender, if you can meet enough criteria, will bend over backwards to try to get you into a home, even if you can't afford it. Because the writing's been on the wall for a long time that things were going to have to change. Or eventually we're not going to have anybody owning anything, which is what the left wants. Which is why, if you will do a callback with me to the beginning of the show, when I talked about how it actually didn't used to be, it wasn't ever supposed to be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but everyone has a right to life, liberty, and property. But because of the slavery issue, they decided they didn't want the South to be able to use that as a cudgel. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people aren't history nerds, but that's what it was supposed to say. And then they changed it. Well, we could use pursuit of happiness since pretty much everybody's pursuit of happiness is going to involve owning property. So we could just use that instead. Same thing. But here's the thing. The left has this entire movement now of you will own nothing and you will like it. And you will do the things that we tell you to do when we tell you to do them because we are the federal government and we are your parents. No. No. Not only no, but hell no. I don't need another set of parents. I have parents. Don't need another one. Didn't ask for another one. Don't want another one. Take that and shove it right where the sun don't shine. Not having anything to do with that, and I'm sorry if it hurt your feelings. Not really, because I apologize for nothing. All the time. I do that all the time now. Like, I am sorry for nothing. All right, let's see what other troubles we can get into here. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I've got some bookmarks. I bookmarked a couple things that I wanted to talk about with you today. So now I'm suddenly not finding my bookmark tab. Where did my bookmarks tab go? Maybe over here. No, that's bookmark folders. What in the world is going on? Let's try it. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm used to doing this mainly on my phone anymore, and it's different on the phone. All right, so this is again a bit of a callback, but this goes back to one of the stories we were talking about earlier. Let me try to get there. We go. This is from Captain Stooping, otherwise known as Bill Kristol. Note to Senator Chris Van Hollen: safe travels to and in El Salvador. And when you're there, don't speak merely for the Democratic Party or for your state of Maryland. Speak for America. I don't know what happened to folks like Bill Kristol, but I kind of wish they would just move and leave the rest of us alone. Just saying. All right. And there was one more that I wanted to get to. Hang on. I don't remember this being this complicated before. Actually, I forgot. I have another one too. My bad. I marked this one and then didn't never do anything with it. But first, we got to talk about Mr. Joe Walsh again. I know you guys are like, do we really? Do we really? Yeah, we kind of do. So this was put out by Walsh Freedom, otherwise known as Joe Walsh, and it looks like it was this morning, about almost 8 a.m. my time. Every word he said here is a lie. Every single word. He lies because his voters let him lie. Because he's a lying liar who lies. And I can't believe I supported him once and was going to march to Washington, D.C. with my musket in 2016 if he lost. The United States is taking in record numbers in tariffs, with the cost of almost all products going down, including gasoline, groceries, and just about everything else. Likewise, inflation is down. Promises made, promises kept. So the problem is, Mr. Walsh, he's not wrong. As somebody else pointed out further down the feed 15 minutes ago, gasoline's down about 24% right now as oil prices continue to fall. The inflation index is down by 3.8%. The core inflation is down by 0.2. Trump approval rating is actually up by 11 points. And just like David Fitzpatrick said, debunk it with receipts, moron. Well, wait, but he didn't have any. Because he didn't have any. All right, so this is something else that I wanted to talk about, and I guess I forgot that I marked it, so we're going to talk about it now, because it's my show, and I can do what I want. And if you don't like it, that's not... Anyway, sorry. Gonna try to be nice. Hang on. At least a little bit. At least a little bit. So this is from Roseanne. But there's a clip I want to play for it first, which is the part that's more important for a moment. And then we'll expand back out again. So hang on. I mean, come on. Like you didn't think I was going to try to put Moana on the screen. Come on now. Y'all should know me better than this. Giggity, giggity. Giggity, goo. Just saying.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections. I've got a long...
All right, so this was actually quoted by Roseanne herself, who basically said, I was told by the people who cheated that there was no evidence of this. Anybody remember when it was supposed to be the most secure election in history? And they told us that over and over and over again. Okay, so just to put this into perspective, this is a lot like when you have to tell people, hey, I'm a nice guy, or yeah, I'm an alpha male. If you have to explain it, then you're lying. Because if nobody can see it with their own eyes, then you're lying. And again, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say here because it's coming back up because of this post. I would like to direct you to the data that you now have in front of you. Look at the difference between the 2012 election, the 2016 election, the 2020 election, and the 2024 election. And tell me which one of those in all of that time span is the most egregious outlier. Because it was 2020. Now, before you say anything, but Rick, it was COVID and everybody was voting by mail and blah, 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 blah. And they really, really wanted Trump gone, so everybody mobilized to get him gone. Okay, great, fine, sure. Okay, let's, all things being equal, just for the sake of discussion, let's assume that to be true. So what happened in 24? If everybody mobilized in 2020 so that literally Hitler would never be in the White House again, what happened in 2024? What happened to all these people that were screaming and yelling about martial law and everything else? What happened? How Trump was never going to leave the White House again if he was allowed back in. If that were the case, he wouldn't have left the first time. Despite what you think about January 6th, and I'm not trying to change your mind at this point because I know I can't, even though I've shown the proof of the fact that there was radio traffic and video footage that when things started going sideways, it was the police that made the situation worse. But I'm not trying to persuade you because it doesn't matter anymore. All things being equal, if January 6th was half of what the left had made it out to be, Donald Trump would have stayed past checkout time on January 20th. Just pointing that out. Because all he would have had to do, because we have seen it play out in other countries, is find some E4 or E5 with delusions of grandeur and say, you put a team together and you hold the White House and you are my new top military official. Didn't happen, though. They left before checkout time. At one point, it looked like he was even going to try to ride off into the sunset. And then all of a sudden, everybody started coming after him again. I think because they thought if they came after him hard enough, he would just go off in the corner and want to be left alone. Apparently, they don't know the man very well. I've never met him, but even I know that was not a good plan. Because you come at him, he's going to come at you. This is exactly what's happening with Letitia James. You can call this weaponization all you want. If the facts are there to support what is being charged, then again, he didn't start this because these are and always have been common practices in real estate. Might technically be illegal, but I know lots of people that do them. So do you, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. I'm just pointing that out. But all of this is nuts. I mean, every bit of this is nuts. So apparently there's now a new memo that Trump is signing or has signed, I'll look in a second, to prevent illegal aliens from stealing Social Security. President Donald Trump signed a memorandum at the White House Tuesday to make it more difficult for illegal aliens to obtain Social Security numbers, which often lead to benefits. The Secretary of Labor, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and the Commissioner of Social Security, in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security as necessary, shall take all reasonable measures consistent with applicable laws to ensure ineligible aliens are not receiving funds from the Social Security Act and any of their programs. The memo states in part, such measures shall include promulgating any necessary guidance or regulations regarding Social Security Act funds and to the extent appropriate and consistent with the law. Also prioritizing civil or administrative enforcement against states, localities, or other similar grantees or subgrantees that do not take adequate measures to verify eligibility, stop payments to deceased or otherwise ineligible payees, or otherwise prevent ineligible aliens from receiving funds through the Social Security Act programs. The move comes after the Department of Government Efficiency found millions of illegal aliens were given Social Security numbers under the Biden administration. Former President Joe Biden deliberately allowed more than 14 million illegals into the country from 2021 to 2024. The Trump administration is working to deport as many of these as possible. All right. So We've got a clip here, but I'm going to go over the numbers really quick first. Social Security numbers issued to non-citizens over the past 4 years. In 2021, 270,425. 2022, 590,193. 2023, 964,163. In 2024, we're talking about an exponential increase here. So up until then, it had been a little less than 100% increase. Then we went over 100% increase. 2024, 2,095,247. And here is a clip. Hang on.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now, here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
All right. So, yes, this, if you've been paying attention, this is a clip that I've played before, but I thought it was pertinent, especially now. Because look who's actually the ones doing the lying, because it ain't Elon Musk, it ain't Doge. And I guarantee you, and a lot of the things that we're talking about, you know, because we just played we just showed Joe Walsh's post about everything he says is a lie. Really, is it though? Is it? Is it? So, because we usually try to do this at least once a show, let's take a look at something. It's been a minute since I've pulled it up. Let's see what we've got going on here. So hang on just a second. You guys will probably know what I'm talking about in a moment, but we're going to take a second to get it posted and on the screen first before we talk about it. And this is our good friend, or will be in a moment, because I just realized that I didn't click the right button. It happens. This is our good friend, the U.S. Debt Clock, located at usdebtclock.org. All right, so national debt as of right now, $36,732,879,000. No, I'm sorry. $36,732,879,000,000 and climbing. The other numbers are moving so fast, I'm not even going to try to keep up. In case you're wanting to know, that is a debt per citizen of $107,370. I'd like to point out that's nearly double the median income in America per citizen. Now, if you put that to taxpayers, it's $323,049. Why does that matter? Because despite what the left is trying to tell you, despite what they try to say to you over and over and over again about all we really need to do is tax the rich and then we're going to be fine, you could confiscate every bit of money made by everyone, whether they're Trump supporters or not, that are millionaires and billionaires, and you wouldn't even make a dent for more than a few days. We can't spend our way out of it. We can't tax our way out of it. We've got to cut. We've got to find new ways to bring in revenue because the American people are overtaxed as it is. I mean, if everybody, I'm being serious at this point. If everybody actually had to sit down, figure out their own taxes, and cut a check to the federal government every quarter, we would have already gone to war. It really is that simple. Now, the thing about the tariffs, for the short term, they are going to bring in some revenue. But eventually what's going to wind up happening is the American people are going to wise up and be like, we're just going to start buying stuff that's coming from places without such stiff tariffs, so that we're not having to pay as much because we're addicted to our cheap stuff. I think that's the thing that has me the most upset. And I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. The simple fact of the matter is we don't have the stomach for this stuff anymore. Now, I wasn't alive, but according to all of history, during World War I and World War II, the entire country came together and said, this is what we have to do to save the world, whether we like it or not. This is where we are right now. We are in a monetary Cold War with China. We've been letting them win. We've been letting them win. Oh, okay. So we got to talk about this. Let me take the final break because I got to get that out of the way. But we do have to talk about this. We'll talk about it on the other side. I think Jeff Bezos is trying to make lesbian space witches an actual thing in this galaxy too, not just the galaxy far, far away. But we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show, and it is Chat Lives Matter Day, live right here on KLRnradio.com. Don't forget, I'll be back tonight, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. But hang out. We got one more segment on the other side, so don't go away yet. I mean, you can go away if you want, but I'd be sad.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know jiu-jitsu and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, folks, welcome back in. Final segment of the Chat Lives Matter Day edition of the Rick Robinson Show. Live right here on KLRnradio.com, and I am Rick Robinson. Again, I do this thing every Tuesday through Friday between the hours of noon to 3. You can also find me over on Twitchy, Misfits Politics, the Loftus Party podcast, which drops on Tuesdays. I produced that one. We've got a new episode that just dropped yesterday. So in a minute, between shows, you can always go check that out if you want. Also, don't forget, coming soon, Corin's Reading Room, live right here on KLRnradio.com, hosted by none other than Corin Nimick. Some of you may know him as Parker Lewis Can't Lose, or Jonas Quinn from Stargate SG-1. If you don't know him from those roles, you've probably seen him in about a million other places. You just may not recognize him by name. So feel free to look up his IMDb if you have other questions. All right, so let's get into it, because without further ado, I've pieced together a little segment here, just for fun. So hang on. Jeff Bezos presents Lesbians in Space. Just a few days ago, right here on planet Earth. All right, so we've got a clip for this before we get too far into it. Hang on. Sorry, I hate when my own jokes make me laugh. But anyway, here we go. Is it muted? It shouldn't be muted. I don't know what happened there. All right, let's try again. Oh, never mind. I know what it's doing. It's being cranky. All right, hang on. See, this is when we'll just do this again. This is why I went with something long, just in case, because I know how this website does. Again, we present Lesbians in Space. Okay, I know they're not actually lesbians, but still.
Got it? 1, 2, 3, take up space! Tamir's in space! It's okay. Leave Flynn up there. Flynn, behind you. Look.
Flynn, I gotcha. I gotcha, Flynn.
Gotcha. Proud of you, Flynn.
Flynn, count it down.
Oh, the moon! You guys,
I will have to tell you, look at the moon. That's amazing. Wow, look at the blue line.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goddess.
Wow.
Oh my That's our pink moon.
Yes, you heard her right. She said, "Oh my God!" It's
Now it's time to pick out.
Oh my
space
gosh.
paradise.
So much. Oh my gosh.
Whoa. That's amazing.
so apparently they're mad because not enough people seem to care about the fact that a bunch of people with more filler than Cher went to space. Why are they so sad about it? I don't really know, but they are. All right, so let's get into this because we can. We got a few minutes left. Nice, Denny. Very, very nice. All right, so let's get into this here. So, celebrities are eating their own after an all female space flight. This week, a gaggle of female celebrities touted that they made history for their all women Blue Origin space flight and lasted a total of 11 minutes. This included singer Katy Perry, television personality Gayle King, best known for being Oprah's best friend, journalist Lauren Sanchez, and film producer Carrie Flynn, activist Amanda Nguyen. I'm sorry, I forgot how to pronounce that for a minute, and engineer Aisha Bowe. The women were filmed during their short journey in space because, lesbians in space. Many left-wing activists celebrated this spaceflight simply because it was all female. However, several left-wing female celebrities made their disdain for this specific spaceflight apparent. What's the point? Is it historic that you guys are going on a ride? I think it's a bit gluttonous. Space exploration was to further our knowledge and to help mankind. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here? Actress Olivia Munn said on the program Jenna and Friends with Jenna Bush Hager. So another actress, Olivia Wilde, took to Instagram to diss the spaceflight. $1 billion bought some good memes, I guess, she wrote with a meme featuring an image of Perry dramatically kissing the ground after she landed. I think the folks stranded in space for 9 months would like a word, ma'am. It doesn't stop there, though. Model Emily Ratajkowski said in a video that she is disgusted by the Blue Origin space ride. This is beyond parody, she said, saying that you care about Mother Earth and it's about Mother Earth and you're going up in a spaceship that is built and paid for by a company that is single-handedly destroying the planet. I thought everybody liked Jeff Bezos. I'm confused. I thought... So look at the state of the world and think about how many resources went into putting these women in space. For what? I'm disgusted, she added. Predictably, as criticism rolled in, King claimed that criticism aimed at the space ride was sexist. Gayle King, it's sexist to call out a space ride. It's to call our space ride a space ride. Sure it is. Just for fun, let's play this clip too. Let me make sure. I'm going to try to save a couple of steps here.
What do you think when people say, oh, it's frivolous? Number one, they call it a ride, which I find very irritating because they never say men went for a ride. What do you say to people who think that this was frivolous or just a ride? I think the message that it sends is very, very powerful. And the people that say that, by the way, weren't there.
Again, best known as Oprah's best friend. And I think there was a little more going on there too, if I'm being honest. Come on, don't look at me in that tone of voice like you've never thought it. Sorry. I'm working on new camera angles because I didn't get as much back in my taxes as I thought. So we're not doing the multi-camera thing yet. So I've decided I just figured out how to make sure at least most of the time you guys could see my face. And then sometimes when I'm talking to the microphone, I kind of feel like Joe Pags because half the time he's on side profile anyway. Like, you know what? I'm just going to do that. It works. All right. Anyway, let's see what I'm just at one point I was terrified because of how much different my situation is than it's been in a long time. For about 2 seconds, I thought I was going to owe the federal government, and I could feel my testes up in my throat. Just saying, it was bad for like 20 seconds there. It was like, you owe the no, I don't. And then I clicked on the next box and it was like, okay, never mind. I was like, yeah, don't do that to me ever again. Anyway, this is why the IRS should be abolished and we should go to a flat tax if we have a tax at all, because it would make things so much easier. Because there wouldn't be, well, I can get this money, but no. You paid in, it goes to what it's got to go to, and you get to decide how much you're taxed by how much you decide to spend. Okay, so in case you missed it, and I was going to talk about this on Friday, I didn't get a chance to get into it very much. So the AP is busily clutching pearls. Apparently, the White House has responded to a judges' rulings that they have to at least restore access to the Associated Press or Associated Propagandists. So, as we've previously reported, a federal judge gave the Associated Press, or as I call them, the Associated Propagandists, a lifeline last Tuesday in their case against the Trump administration, granting a parliamentary injunction that restored for the time being their press access to the Oval Office. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops. And East Room, where they'd previously been banned in a dispute over usage of the term Gulf of America. The court simply holds that under the First Amendment, if the government opens its doors to some journalists, be it to the Oval Office, the East Room, or elsewhere, and it cannot then shut those doors to other journalists because of their viewpoints. The Constitution requires no less. U.S. District Judge Trevor McFadden, a 2017 Trump appointee, wrote in his ruling. However, McFadden also noted that, but this injunction does not limit the various permissible reasons the government may have for excluding journalists from limited access events. Further, it does not mandate that all eligible journalists, or indeed any journalist at all, be given access to the president or non-public government speeches. Even after the ruling, the White House still excluded the Associated Propagandists from the Oval Office pressers, further outraging the usual suspects. But perhaps, seeing the opening in the ruling that the judge gave them, the Trump White House has now formally responded accordingly by changing the rules for wire service access, which more or less puts the AP back to square one. Oopsie. Reporters from the three leading wire services organizations that regularly cover the White House, the Associated Press, Reuters, and Bloomberg, will no longer share a rotating spot in the White House pool under new guidelines released by the administration on Tuesday. All three organizations will now be included in the larger group of print media organizations that are eligible to be part of the pool. Usually about a dozen journalists who can attend events with limited space, such as the signing of executive orders in the Oval Office or travel with the president on Air Force One. The change was first reported by the New York Post. The loss of the privileged wire service position for the pool means that AP, Reuters, and Bloomberg would generally have less access to the president. So this is from Jeremy Barr. Just sent, the White House has already removed the wire spot from the pool lineup. There is no wire service represented in a print reporting slot tomorrow. The new secondary print slot went to Heritage Foundation publications, The Daily Signal. Dun, dun, dun. Naturally, the AP is already clutching pearls and demanding McFadden once again intervene. The new policy abandons the long-standing role of wire services, which have been included in the pool since its inception. Is that necessarily a good thing? To ensure that the White House reporting reaches the broadest possible audience in the United States and around the globe as quickly and as reliably as possible. It's that last part we're worried about, because you're not very reliable anymore. The AP wrote to McFadden in its filing, this change marks the latest reduction in wire service participation, which the White House continues to use as a pretext for targeting the AP. There was, of course, also this statement from the AP. The administration's actions continue to disregard the fundamental American freedom to speak without government control or retaliation. This is a grave disservice to the American people. Anyway, those of us that were deplatformed or buried after COVID would like a word Because, I'll be honest, it took until about a week ago, apparently, for whatever rock we were being shoved under with Spreaker to finally stop. Because we're starting to explode over there again, which is nice because for a while nobody was seeing us. We're still getting really solid numbers on X. YouTube, we're basically living under a rock, which is one of the reasons why I keep telling everybody, if you would be so kind, even if it's on a break, just go over there, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, share out the YouTube. I doubt we'll ever get monetized on YouTube. I don't really care about that. I just like to point out that my channel is still there, regardless of how many times they try to nuke it. Because fun times, fun times, fun times. And yes, I am that kind of an asshole. Just saying. All right. So let's take a look at one other quick article here. So there's apparently an emerging Democrat midterm strategy. And it seems to be embracing more of the same. Remember the Bring Back Our Girls campaign during the Obama administration? Well, Democrats have now moved on to Bring Back Our Illegal Aliens. If you had Democrats supporting an illegal alien gang member on your 2025 bingo card, go buy a lotto ticket today. But remember, they are more expensive now. Don't wait. I'm serious. Democrats in Congress have officially lost it. That would imply that they've ever had it. It looks like their new 2026 midterm strategy is to fight in support of properly deported illegal aliens. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that plays out for them. So I'm going to state the situation surrounding the deportation of Kilmar Garcia as clearly as I can. An illegal alien with ties to El Salvador gangs has been deported. He was in the United States illegally. He was given deportation orders, which he ignored. The Trump administration deported him. Democrats went full TDS and are furious about it. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen is traveling to El Salvador to, in his own words, meet with senior government officials to discuss the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I also hope to see Kilmar and check on his condition and remind him that we won't stop fighting until he's home. The problem is he is home because he's not from here. Just for fun, let's play the clip, and then it's about time for me to have to say goodbye anyway.
I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law and due process in the United States, it's a short road from there to tyranny.
Dude, we've already been living under tyranny. I think you've forgotten that half the country was put on watch list because of our voting records, and we know it. Tulsi Gabbard was just the most blatant one because she traveled a lot and she figured out she was on a watch list. I haven't tried to travel because I'm pretty sure I'm on a watch list because I was told by the potted plant, if you voted for Trump, we're going to put you on a watch list because you're a traitor. So please don't come at me with this bullshit. Second of all, this dude came here illegally and thumbed his nose at deportation orders. This isn't his home. If he wanted it to be his home, there was a process for him to do that. He chose not to follow it. That's not my problem, and I refuse to be upset about what this man is going through. I know that some of you, well, you're an asshole. Well, maybe I am. You know what? I'm kind of okay with that at this point because I've been a nice guy most of my life. It doesn't ever work out. All right. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go. We are officially out of time. So I do have to tell you, sadly, at this point, this one is over. But don't forget, I'll be back tonight starting at 7 p.m. Eastern right here live on KLRN Radio with an extended edition of the America Off the Rails show. One of the shows that started it all right here on KLRN Radio.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the woods.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Closing time.
Well, that's great. This is fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? Game over, man. Game over.
Closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time. This room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come.
I love you, Oklahoma. What a great crowd. I love you.